Yeah, I know. He explained to me.
It's kind of cool
This
because
is
that's what we're just.
yeah, this is Jody, the one and only, and we really appreciate it. uh, we're sitting here December 7th, year 2023, here at the Hello Hello Show. It's Thursday afternoon, also the first day of Hanukkah, first candle. Then, of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access. As we already discussed here many times in the past, to what extent it can take us all as a community, as a neighborhood, town, as a state, as a country, the whole, so that expands beyond and beyond. Of course, here to entertain with us is Steve Romm. And Steve is a good friend, a mentor, and also a troublemaker accordingly.
But of course.
And then whatever it is that he does or doesn't do, he does it very well. So, and I treasure this friendship, and of course, I'm sure many of you have seen him here before with us. And so, Steve, thank you for showing up. I know you have a lot on your plate. You got 5 kids. You got a whole business to
So I think we
run.
have
And
our lives backed up. I think we're getting much too close because we're
yes,
transferring personalities.
yes.
And I'll tell you, feeding 5 kids is a lot of work.
Tell me about it. I want to know.
I just put out this gigantic bowl of oatmeal with 5 spoons. That's it. That's what I can afford now.
Yeah, but that takes care of one part of the first part of the first act
Right.
of the.
That's just the morning opening event.
That's just like your shadow is walking ahead of you
Right.
towards the kitchen,
Right.
but it takes a while until anything gets done. I cannot picture you as a hands-on dad right now with like a 5-year-old. You would.
Well, I sent you a message and I said something in the message that if you have five kids, that having 2 seniors in your house is basically the same as having 2 more kids. I mean, once we reach a certain stage where we start to diminish in intellectual capacity, and I don't mean with dementia, just age, adding 2 more seniors in is just having 2 more kids. So five
Be
to
natural.
seven is no big deal. So we know that we have a backup plan in case we lose our money, we lose our house, whatever it is. We always know we have a place to live, and that's with Haim will take care of us.
Having someone your age there would be like as if we're adding another 5-year-old
Exactly.
as
I
far as
mean,
demands are concerned.
once you get past five, it's like, 550 doesn't make any difference. It's all the same.
And watch the coffee. Maybe you're moving your hands too much. Maybe push it
No,
forward a little
I
bit.
will be very careful. I'm not ever going to knock over coffee.
But I want to tell you that Steve Ram is one of the few, if at all only, that I know that his sense and capability of improvisation, especially verbally and poetically, is second to none.
Thank you.
Coming from me, believe me, yeah, I not only that I mean what I'm saying, but really on the surface, he's maybe even a little bit borderline. Um, what's the word?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh,
Talented.
no. It's not teasing.
No, I know.
It's what's the? I'll think of the word. It's something borderline with the fact that it makes me have second thoughts about
what's the
certain things
term
that
they
otherwise I
use?
would thought I would never have.
Um, Trying to think of the word that they use for somebody who is a all around in every aspect of their life. They're on the almost, whether they're helping people or they're creating something or they're in business or whatever it is. There's a term that's used for that kind of person. Um, Musk might fit into something like that because he does so many things and he's been so successful in business. I don't like the anti-Semitic part on his part. I think that's totally unacceptable, and as would be his anti-anything when it comes to people, whether it's black, Jews, Muslims, whatever it is. I think somebody in his position of power and wealth has an obligation to everybody around him to be fair, honest, and and certainly not to represent a prejudicial point against anybody.
Yeah, but also I don't know why should we give him so much credit and the likes of him. You know, it's like
I'm
let's for the sake of argument and comparison, let's just say the morning starts for a person like me and a person like Elon Musk. Yeah, let's say we wake up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, which I do. Yeah, so let's say that him and I, we don't need more than 5 6 hours max to sleep. Not even that. 5 hours is perfect. Yeah. So we have 19 hours of activity of this sort, of this kind, for this reason, for that reason. So let's say that I drive 150 miles within a radius of 25 miles, and I start and stop the car about 75 times, if not more. And really, if you look at the paper, the paper will tell you already. There's just nothing you can fit in anymore. It's the full capacity, and you take him, and he wakes up, and his idea of traveling would be going through visiting three different states in the same
no,
day.
I
And
think his concept of traveling is going to Mars.
yeah, no, but what I mean here on planet Earth, he's got to go to sleep at some point, and he's got to wake up at some point. It's only in a day's work that concept doesn't really differ the president of the United States from you and I. They need to make decisions. You need to make decisions.
I think that
The decisions that are extremely important to our country will be equal to the decisions that are extremely important to you,
I,
about
I
your life.
I agree. I think there's a level that
Where
certain people are at. I mean,
so wait, but let me just make a point. So he has $110 billion in his bank account, and I have $2,000 in my bank account. So really, I don't want to sound too sarcastic by saying how many dinners can he eat, how many
it's
cars
not
can he
that.
own,
It's not that.
and then the contribution. So let's just say that when we think of him, obviously the contribution to mankind and the way we live our lives is immense. But me as an artist, spending time making it my business without having to, and creating in the studio equals the same kind of contribution to society when you look at the wide picture. So money that spells power is too obvious to be taken seriously because it's so what are we trying to say? It's a no-brainer. But the point is that if we were to go out to town, him and I have $2,000 and he have 110 billion, we're both going to strive for the same thing, you know.
I think that to interrupt 1 second, I think that what I admire about Musk on the surface is that he's done some things for people all over the world, bring communications to people that never had communications, people who have been left out, who never had a cell phone or live in the middle of the desert, live in the middle of the jungle, and whatever the phone service is in that country has not deemed it necessary to bring them service. They've been locked out. He's brought them phone service. He's brought them the internet. He is doing things for people who are handicapped, paraplegics. He's working on a brain implant that gives people the ability to go outside of their body without having to move anything, just by thinking they can write on a computer. He's doing some absolutely incredible things that are good for mankind. He just announced that his new AI company, unlike all the other AI companies that are out there, his AI company is going to have a sense of humor. It's not going to answer you like a robot. It's going to interface with you. You can talk to it about anything. It's not limited. So I think that the things he's done, in addition to his Tesla, which has changed the whole concept of how cars are made uh, in the world, his contributions have been immense. I would compare him to an Einstein or a Hawkins or any of the great people throughout history. Da Vinci, he is a incredibly brilliant person, and a lot of what he's doing is for the benefit of humankind. I think that his personal opinions about things are something that
Yeah,
he
but
may not be aware of. The impact of going.
I hate to stop you because I don't think he deserves our time right here, right now. because
Well,
I'm not
he's
saying that
as
he's not an
creative as
important
we are.
person. The point is, that I I'm not impressed because every teenager now has the potential to erect these kind of projects and to come up with solutions for needs in ways that are just beyond and beyond. And also, don't forget that I come from the concept that says if God gave us the imagination to the extent that He gave us, so that means I can travel. So how much is the speed of light? Is 5 miles a second? Wait a minute.
186,000 miles per second.
5 miles a second.
186,000 miles per second.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yes. I know my
The
science.
speed of light
186,000 miles per second is the speed of light
per hour.
per second.
Okay. What is the speed of light? It doesn't. Okay. What is the speed of light? What is the speed of light? Okay. 670,000 miles per hour.
186,000 miles per second.
No.
Yes. That's per hour.
Yeah. So if you divide it by 60, it's not 128.
Guarantee you $100 right
Okay.
now.
Okay, wait 1 second. So what we should
I
do?
do know my
wait,
science.
here. We should calculator. What we should do?
Just ask for the speed of light.
Yeah. Okay, so this is this. Okay, divided by 60. That's
186,000 miles per second.
that's 7,666 miles per second.
Nope, wrong.
Okay, so you're saying what?
186,000 miles per second.
If whole number, no.
186,000 miles per second.
Okay, per second.
Per second.
Okay, so I will multiply it by 60. So that's 11,160 miles an hour.
Correct. Then you multiply that by 24, and that's how far you travel in a
Every
day.
year in a day.
Which
But
doesn't even get us out of the solar system.
good point. Good point. That's the kind of conversation I want to have, because so now going back to the imagination, and so now I take this number and I am completely compatible with this number before anything move, before anything is heard, before anything is seen, and before anything is felt. Before. So that means when I get to the point where I hit reality using my imagination, I can be sitting on the head of God because I traveled there. The distance to get to that is by the trillions. And by the trillions times 60 times 24 times this. So what happens is from the resting on the head of God, I slide through his shoulder right into his pocket. And in the pocket, I sort through things that God keeps. What would be the things that God keeps? And when I stick my head out of his pocket, I don't have to do anything in order to cause things to happen, because it's just the presence in the place that I am, in the time that I am, with my unlimited capabilities, actually put an end to the necessity to deal with time in order for that to be translated into motion. Motion will be something fixed that has nothing to do with any fuel that takes it from or to, and it does not rely on anything outside itself for its motion, for its purpose, for its use. Everything comes from within. Now, the imagination is a little scratch on the surface. So, if you ask yourself, why does the superpower that created us wanted us to have such an incredible, monstrous, magical tool called imagination? And and that he will allow you imagination to travel to whichever destination you want, as fast as your heart can only imagine to wish, without any cars, any machines, any inventions, any infrastructure, any no conditions, no nothing is needed other than the understanding that that desire comes from within, and it's been possible because you were granted already by birth that relationship with the imagination. So I always said, so uh, the story about Jacob, that um, his 12 sons came, including one of his sons, Joseph, that was ruling Egypt for 9 years. He was actually the king of Egypt then, second to the king, while his father died, and they took him where? To the cave where Abraham bought in order to for all of them to be buried. And then they were and they were encountered by the brother of Jacob, Esau, was claiming that actually this space is mine and I'm not going to allow you to bury him there. So I'm telling you this story because they said, well, we have the papers. And he said, where's the papers? Show me. And they said, it's in Egypt. So he said, okay, go get it. So he forgot one fact. He forgot that the sons of Joseph, he had two sons, one out of which was able to run and run back in a matter of seconds. And how he did it is that he was running on the edges of the wheat in the fields. So you needed only one step to touch the edge of the wheat, and it's there. So what happens? So Joseph turned and told his son, "Go get it." And when he exited, Esau knew that he made a mistake because suddenly he remembered that Joseph's son is the only one who's capable to do that. So now you're talking about an actualization of the imagination, because for that to happen, even if it was a real story, you must believe that it must be a fraction of the imagination to begin with before you even entertain an idea of having that available, that it can perform what I just described you to. So it was there and coming. So then you ask yourself, why, in the face of discussing Elon Musk and the likes of him and Steve Jobs, whatever wasn't great. He did not introduce to us the iPhone, which was, I remember the first time I held an iPhone in my hand, my hands were trembling. I couldn't believe it. First of all, I couldn't believe that we have a phone. This such a reliable phone.
Look
And
how phones have changed. Cell
yes, of
phones have
course.
changed the world.
So, but
Now
what
you
place?
let me
And
interrupt
no,
one second.
I'm gonna give you a lot of time to respond on.
Okay.
But uh, uh, so where do we draw the line? So after that, this division or this definition will make our lives easier, not in the actual demand of doing, but in the actual how much time we're saving, how much time we're not wasting by recognizing this. So why did he allow us? Why did he give us so much power? Why? 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 It's not a given. So then I don't, it's not like I have an answer. I have maybe 100 answers. But if we understand, and even if we place an answer that we wish that answer to be the answer, that's legitimate as long as we can follow the implications of our actions. But anyway, now I'll give you the mic.
Thank you. I was just going to leave a picture of myself here. I don't have to come anymore. I could just leave a little cassette
But you are a
and a
picture
recording.
already. This is the picture.
By the way, I just wanted to mention today is December 7th, a day that lived in infamy. This was the day called Pearl Harbor Day, and it sort of has been dropped, but it's really important. It is the first day of Hanukkah, but it's also Pearl Harbor Day, and it's the day that the United States under Roosevelt decided that it was going to get involved in the war because we had the sneak
Not
attack on
decided.
us.
We're forced
We
to.
were forced into it. The question
Like
that
the
comes up,
Israelis were forced into the war in the Middle East and Gaza. It's the
I
same.
and I have to say that if you look at the history of humankind, it has been based upon war. And scientists, with their new telescope, have been able to look back 100 billion light years into the past. Those are planets, suns. They've discovered things that they never even knew existed. They don't exist there anymore, but we're just getting the light from them. It's taken that long for the light to travel to Earth, and we can see things that scientists never even thought existed. The whole concept of our solar system, our galaxy, our universe has been changed drastically. You take somebody like Musk, and the reason that I'm impressed with what Musk has done is that I just remembered the term. It's a Renaissance person, and I don't want to use the word man because women have done the same thing. He's doing things within his capabilities that far exceed anything that anybody else has been done.
But what
NASA,
is he doing? He has the money, he has the
no,
people. He called the expert and said, "Listen, I need you to think this way, that way,
Haim,
and I need to come up with this way, that way. Go work, then give me some results."
he's done
And
things.
what is your salary? $250,000
Would you?
a year. I'll give you $2
No,
million
no, no.
a year.
It's not based
What
upon the
is he
money.
doing himself?
It's not.
Coming up with ideas. Then
No,
you and I can come up with these
he's
ideas.
he's not only coming up with ideas. How would you explain Einstein? Einstein comes up with the theory of relativity. To this day, it still holds. It's being questioned. He said we can't travel faster than the speed of light. That's part of his theory of relativity. We have done things that are faster than the speed of light. Even the laboratory in Brookhaven panicked when they used their accelerator and they shot a proton that went faster than light and went out of the accelerator, and they don't know where it went. They panicked. They're doing it in Europe also. They're doing it in China. We are on the verge. Everything that we have as far as energy goes, wind turbines, solar panels, fossil fuel, nuclear fuel, within 10 years will be absolutely obsolete. China's building one, they're building one in Europe. It's finally happening. Fusion power. It is happening. Fusion power will change the face of the earth. It will resolve all the problems with climate, with everything that we use. We will have endless supplies of energy, cheap, efficient, and everybody will have it. Fusion is the same thing as the sun. It's like tapping the sun, and they're on the verge of doing it. They're just building them now, and they're just testing them now. You take theoretically, the concept is, and this is not the right figure, but 10 watts of power goes into the fusion generator, and out comes 10 million watts of power. And you never have to put fuel in again. And there's no byproduct, there's no nuclear waste, there's nothing. It just continues to run and generate power. It's the ultimate power source. It's like putting an electric plug into the
What if
sun.
we have a vehicle, a vessel that doesn't need any source of power in order to activate
Well, the Navy is doing exactly that based upon Tesla. These are things that are happening now. What they're doing is they're taking if if we hadn't gone with Edison and we had gone with Tesla at that time, the world would be different. You wouldn't have telephone poles, you wouldn't have wires, you wouldn't have any of what we have. But there was
But you would
money to
have
be
like
made.
freaking cancer by
No, you wouldn't. No, because
500,000%.
no, no, because it you can walk through this beam of electricity. You can walk through the way it's transmitted, and it doesn't affect you. It's
Until you
far
realize that
better.
it's killing you.
No, it's far better than the high tension wires, the high powered
How highly
wires.
did we spoke about so many things that we thought are so great, never knew that they're so deadly for humankind?
Well, I think that what Musk is attempting to do is build things that aren't deadly to humankind.
No, I know, but anyway. So,
If he could take somebody who's a paraplegic and he can get them to the point, this is the first step. If he can get them to the point where they're now able to communicate with people, which they can't do now. And that's the first step. And then the second step is be able to put an implant into them so they'll be able to move again. Somebody who is a quadriplegic who will be able to walk and move again. That is an immense change for society. It's huge.
but that's also an additional burden, because of the natural
Well,
process of
look,
rejuvenation,
scientists have discovered the gene that will make us capable of living to 150. What effect is that going to have on the world? A huge effect. I'm in my 80s. What happens if I'm 110 or I'm 130 and healthy? the whole concept is not to have somebody that's 150 years old that's dependent upon the state for food and nursing and everything. You
How
want
about
somebody that's
but
healthy.
how come you don't talk about creating something that will increase the sense of happiness in people's lives?
Well, let's put it this way:
Forget
if
about
you're
machines now
creating,
and the efficiency of this. The being conventional and conservative, and going back is actually a sense of relief, a sense of kind of that simplicity is very profound, and we yearn for that. By the way, the more intelligence and communication and technology that supposedly to make our lives easier. Why aren't we talking about happiness,
I agree with you
about being content,
because I'll give you an
and
answer.
that which is soothing?
There's a
Soothing.
commercial on TV.
I didn't hear you for a long time saying the word soothing.
There's a commercial on TV that if your cat is stressed out, you can buy a device that releases pheromones that will calm your cat down. At the same time, on
And cause
television,
the cat five different kind of diseases.
it doesn't cause any
You don't
diseases.
know. You don't know.
We
You
don't
have
know. Look, they came out with this vaccine for the virus, for the flu, with the virus that came out. Was it approved? No. Did everybody get it? Yes. Are there major side effects with people?
yes,
Absolutely. 50% of the
yes.
world population
So what are you
has
trying to say?
major
Do you
side
actually
effects.
agreeing with what I'm saying?
I agree
Yes.
with what you're saying.
Why? And why
People,
did it happen? Because they didn't have time to
no,
test it.
they just,
Data.
this
No
is
data.
who made the money with the vaccine. Pfizer made billions of dollars in profit. It was something that people needed.
Pfizer makes millions
No,
already.
billions. And
Billions.
so did the other drug
Trillions. Whatever.
companies.
They already making money. Don't
Here's an
worry.
opportunity where A, they're covered by the government that nobody can sue them. So if you do get sick and you do have side effects, you can't even sue the drug company.
But we don't want to go there. We want to go back to the point where I'm saying all
I
these things
think
that you said lack 100% data upon which and through which and by which we get more intelligent decisions,
I'll ask you a question.
balanced
Is our
decisions.
life better in many ways because of Leonardo da Vinci? Simple question.
Say it again.
Is our life better, the world's life better, because of Leonardo da Vinci, because of Einstein,
Without
because of
any doubt.
Archimedes,
Without any doubt.
because of Moses,
Without,
because of Joshua becoming Jesus? Is the world better overall?
yes, without a
Okay.
doubt.
So if you put into that category that there are people that come along who change the world fundamentally for the better, then you have to take somebody like Musk and other people like him. And it has nothing to do with the money. He could sit there with his billions, he's the richest man in the world. He could sit there with his money and do nothing except have the most extraordinary life for himself, yachts, palaces, whatever he wants. But he's not doing that. What he's doing is he's coming up with things that are changing the world for the
Show me one
better.
billionaire that doesn't do great things. Show me one billionaire that just decides to sit
I
back
don't
and
know.
enjoy and have drinks
I
and
don't
have
know.
dinners and travel.
There are a lot of
They,
billionaires out there who are not. I'll give you an example. There are two billionaires in Wainscott. Okay, I'm not naming names. There
so
are two
what?
billionaires
I
in
can Google
Wainscott.
it and I can get the information in 2 seconds.
Everybody can, who have polluted something and done nothing about it. Okay, that's a fact. And they've not done anything about it. Could they do something about it? Absolutely. Could they make it better for the local people who used to go to this place and swim and crab and do all kinds of things? Can't do it anymore. Do they care? No. Are they penalized by the town of East Hampton? No. Why are they not penalized by the town of East Hampton? Because they run the town of East Hampton. Does the town of East
Well,
Hampton,
well,
like all small
maybe
towns,
yes and maybe no. Don't get carried away. Maybe
I'm not
yes.
carried
No,
away.
I'm just
It's a
saying.
fact.
Slow down. I know that you need someone to remind you to slow down. I think
Where did the
so. That's my
I have
first of
one question for you. When the wind turbines, which are a joke, when the wind turbines go up, where does it come into? Wainscott. Why 35 miles off of Montauk are the wind turbines? Where does the cable come in? comes in Wainscott. It comes in underneath the beach of Wainscott. Where could those wind turbines be built? Any place along the shore. Jones Beach, where nobody lives. Does anybody know how much oil these things use? No. Did that come out in the process of building it?
But
What
okay, so
this
this whole thing is trial and error.
it
This is new, still new. They're trying to figure things out, but I don't think that there's a conspiracy theory where,
a
these
lot of
billionaires are
people
ruining something. The town
but a
cannot
lot of
really.
people made a
The,
lot of money.
the, well, yeah, well, but why are you surprised? I
I'm
mean, what do you
I would be
expect?
surprised if they did something for the community that was good.
But I don't think that there's a situation where they control the town because they're the town himself, because they own the town or whatever. I'm speaking more of what happens to our attention to the psyche, the mood, the state of mind, the uh, the the should be the ability to get that kind of level of relaxation and rest without needing yoga or any other form that will kind of lead us to it. Why can't we promote that? And why can't we, for example, psychiatrically, the way we treat our kids, the way the kind of medication that there is, and they kind of trigger happy with it. These are things that should concern Elon Musk more, no less than all the wonderful things that he does, and all the other people they can spare some money in trying to understand the human condition and instantly can rise um, the level of happiness and satisfaction and kind of all these things that create automatic natural balance between people. People, in the Kabbalah, they say if the government, if you wake up one morning and the government is not there, no one rules, the Kabbalah says it will take no longer than 72 hours until one person will eat the other. Now, the Kabbalah is asking,
I totally disagree.
wait, so you're saying, so what is the Jewish person asks, the scholar? So you say, the Kabbalah says, if people don't have a police as a deterrent or the government, they cannot call the police if they feel threatened or anything. If it's complete kind of chaos is starting right now, it takes 72 hours before people will eat each other. Now, the scholar asks, what do you mean by saying you eat? And and the Kabbalah answers, literally,
Cannibalism.
literally, literally. Why? Because of that level of curiosity and the demons and anger and aggression and all of these things that are wonderfully positioned alongside many millions of other beautiful things, but they were tamed for so long and they were like controlled for so long. So just like they said, it takes exactly 72 hours for any person to arrive to Auschwitz to be someone that will sell his balls and his mom and his family and his friends and his life for a piece of bread. And that can be from the lowest grade individual into the richest, those who came with mink coats to and other things to Auschwitz. And in 24 hours, they realized they're they're evaporating. But what does that tell us? So if we get to know the state of mind, not by research like clinical researchers, but more down to earth, organic um, curiosity, organic way of going about trying to find the solution that is simple, that anyone can understand, including those who's searching for an understanding. I don't know. Do I make sense? I don't know.
I disagree with you. I think that I would love to see this country without a present form of government at the moment because it's not democratic, it's not based on the Constitution, and it's not functioning. You have a divided government, neither side of which is
But
right or
when didn't
wrong.
we?
Pardon me?
When didn't we have that? It's
We've
always
always
like
had
that.
that.
That's a healthy state of mind
It's
to.
not a healthy state of mind when you have a government that doesn't function. Mental health care has been cut the budget has been cut for mental health care drastically. Health care for poor people has been cut drastically. To bring people into this country who are illegal and give them the right to vote when other
Well,
people that I know have spent 20 years working to become citizens legally, functioning legally.
okay, but we're not
It's
talking. But we're not talking about immigration now
no, we're
here.
talking about
No, we're
the
talking about the
government.
human condition.
Not only this government, but
When
past
I said no
governments.
government, I said no government. I meant
I
no
would
government.
love to see. I
No
think you
government, no offices,
look.
no rules, no police, no nothing. You
You
wake
had a
up.
country here before Europeans came here. You had a country here that was divided up into tribes, what we call Native Americans. Okay, nice term for the people that lived here. They didn't consider themselves not Native Americans. They didn't call it America. You had tribes that were on Long Island. You had tribes all over the country. They functioned. They didn't have a central government, and the country functioned.
Yeah, but you cannot compare like 500 years later. But listen, what?
But you don't need a central government to run everything, and a central government that taxes us when they want to, controls our lives when they want to, passes laws that we don't necessarily agree with. And it's really changed. We don't have a government that is for the benefit of the people. And I want to just go back to one comment that I made. The people that have the problem with polluting a pond have also brought us wonderful things in the theater, wonderful things that do bring us joy, that do bring us happiness. There's a duality in their lives. And I would simply to say, if I had the chance of speaking to somebody like that and say, look, you've brought us these absolutely beautiful things that have made us happy, made our children happy, that have brought us joy and
But
pleasure.
it's too much
Extend
naivete.
it.
But you're too naive.
I'm not naive. All I would say to them is please extend it to your
Okay,
personal life as to where you live so that
okay,
everybody benefits in the same way.
okay, Steve. Please listen to me. Okay, and all I'm trying to say, if I can, and I know you, you're moody. You got your days. You know, some days you can really use a lift up. Some,
Everybody is.
I'm not saying everybody. I'm just talking about you and I right now here. You know that about me too. But you can be really down, okay? But what if I can reduce 90% of these occurrences and bring some kind of a basic approach to you to make it available to you and the likes of you that that you can simply just feel happy more often than not. Now, what is the first thing that happens when you're happy? Tell me. What do you think the first thing that really improves instantly?
First thing I think of is I reach out and help other people.
Great, that's a part of the equation, but not before you feeling creative, you feeling useful,
Part
you
of
feeling like
most of my
and
life is
and selfless. So
oh,
that's why you would. So that's why you would lead to the
Heim,
first thing you said. You're gonna first thing come to your mind. You want to help other people, but you want to create. Suddenly there is room for desire. Suddenly there's willingness to create.
it's I've created since I was 6 years old. Okay, that's how far back it goes. That's when I started creating. I've never stopped. But what's changed in my life, what's really been an important change, is having gone from the persona that I was in business, which is very cutthroat. You've got to win, you've got to beat the other people, to learning that it's much better to be nice and to be kind and open a door for somebody. If somebody drops their keys, pick up the keys, hand it to them to say thank you. Those are little things in a daily occurrence that make your life better, make you feel better, even when you're depressed, even when you're having a bad day. That doesn't mean you can't hold the door open for somebody and do something nice. It makes you feel better. And if you extrapolate that and you take that to an nth degree and you say, what's our government doing for us? Is it doing any of that? Is it picking up our keys? No. It's taking our keys and hiding them someplace. It's making our lives more difficult, not easier. It's not doing anything that's beneficial for us. What is it doing? It's cutting back on everything except for the very rich. And there's a tremendous amount of animosity towards people. and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, but I would like you to be a little more spiritual here. It's not okay. I can you make the point, but that point is so cliche. It's not even funny. I mean,
It
of
is.
course,
It is.
self-explanatory, and
Spiritual
this is
is
the way
something.
things work. It's not like we. I would like not to be involved in trying to re- wonder how come it's happening or not. I accept it as a fact. You work with the facts, the existing facts, and if you give enough of yourself out of that kind of place where you just described, it's guaranteed that you can be successful in making people happier.
But spiritual is something. Being spiritual is something that you choose to either be that way or not be that way. Doesn't make any difference how you are towards people, whether you believe in an all-seeing power or you don't. You can be just as good a human being even if you don't believe in God or the semblance of God. You can function as an agnostic or an atheist or whatever and be just as good a person without the belief in God. First of all, Ara, you mentioned something earlier about time. Time doesn't exist. And if you go to another planet like we're going to Mars, our watches are obsolete. We have to have a different day. It's not the same amount of 24 hours, it's not 365 days a year. So if we were on another planet or on the moon of Titan or wherever it is, we have to change the concept of time. We have made time. Time doesn't exist the way we really think it does. There is no past, there is no present, and there's no future. We're never in the now because as soon as you're in the now, it's the past. There is no way of staying in the now.
Well, I have a
It's a
solution for this.
constant flowing thing, and it also
I
changes
thought
where
about it,
you
and
are.
I invented the word for now. It's called not now, not now, not now, not now,
Never now. There is no now.
not now, not now. When you say not now, that means every time you hit on the now, the distance between not and now
It's gone.
lands you on the now for a brief for one thousandth of a second. You know what I mean?
Not even that.
Because it's the premature syncopation. It's called not now, not now, not now, not now. You
But
know.
that can be measured in nanoseconds and then split from nanoseconds into what's smaller than nanoseconds every time scientists find a new particle and how small it is.
Do you believe that
That
the
becomes,
future and the past are both past?
I believe they don't exist.
But let's say if they do exist,
I
technically
can't
speaking,
accept that they exist. The past is gone and the future doesn't exist. And there's no now.
how do you discontinue the legitimacy of accepting that the future indeed is kind of taking you away from the present to whichever it does, and vice versa. So that means what is the how do you gain a a license to be able to describe uh, the future as the past because you just turned and faced the future instead of sitting, so that means when it comes to south and north, it doesn't matter. It shares the same kind of line, the same kind of bloodline, so we can find ourselves easily communicating with the same type of. We need the same ingredients in order to be compatible, whether you face south or north. But it doesn't work the same with
I'll give you a very
east
good
and west.
example. When we were sitting on the bench, you had said to me, "We're going to talk about painting today," and we're not. We're talking about something totally
Well,
different.
yeah.
And however it unfolds as we move into the future, but the future is unknown to both of us. There is no future that's laid out. There's all kinds of
But I
possibilities
did
that
that.
we both want.
But I did that on purpose. I didn't. I talked to you about that there. But I said what I said, and then we come here and we don't talk about it a lot, because I have somewhat of a control over the conversation, so I can leave it where it is, just like the way when I worked with kids and I used to tell them, I used to bring 100 tubes of paint and used to say, let's use only shades of blue, and then we take all the blue aside, kind of thing, and then we change our mind, and then we'll bring the blue back to the pile, and then we start entertaining ideas like, well, maybe this blue, no, that blue, no, I'll do this. I prefer that blue, that this blue. Maybe we should use red and then green and that. Oh no, 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 let's put it back. We said blue, but which blue? This has too much yellow, too much red, too much. So you when you're in that state of mind, it even not being able to make up your mind is a part of making up your mind. So even that is an impossibility. So that means there cannot be a situation such as you cannot make up your mind to exist. Because if you're not able to do that, this is a part of making up your mind in the scheme of things. So the ingredients are always turned eventually to serve the deposits of survival and therefore
I
longevity and
think that
therefore
each
artistic survival.
each one of us has a concept and a projection of what they want to do ahead
And
of
I
us,
don't know
and
a
that's
thing about what I just said. I know exactly. I know.
hey, I've
I'm
watched
so thankful you don't
I
stop
have
me and say, "What the
I have
heck are you doing?"
watched many of your shows when nobody is on, and I've gotten 20 minutes into it, and I turned to Lenore and I said, "That man has no clue what he's talking about. I mean, absolutely no clue.
That's how much of a professional I am.
I mean, he's got to get somebody in there because I can't follow what he's doing, and I consider myself pretty intelligent, and if I can't follow what you're talking about, I just go, I gotta watch Chicago PD because at least I can follow the plot.
No,
But there's some. But on
if
the
you
other
listen to
hand,
me, you need a
there's
pen and a
something.
pad, not iPad, a
Yeah, I'm gonna
pad,
take notes.
a pad. And
Go.
highlight
Yeah,
it.
but paragraph one has nothing to do with paragraph two, and paragraph three, which she's now about to disclose,
Relate to each
I
one
know is not
independently. They're
real.
all going to come together eventually.
Well, how many years you've been on TV?
Oh, well,
Since the '80s. They haven't come together yet. So I'm waiting for one of these shows to say, and now in summation of all these years I've been on,
I,
this is what I
I,
meant.
I did. These are the shows you missed.
And there will be a clarification of all of that. But it
A
hasn't happened
summary.
yet. So, um, it's like if you watch the horrendous news that's on TV, and if you go from Fox to CNN to CNBC or Channel 2, if you think that reality exists, just go from one news station to another news station and you will leave completely
Yes,
confused about the same event.
but I'm sorry, Mr. Clarity. You're not like anything to
I'm
write
not,
home about.
hey, look,
You,
I'm not,
along the years, you were
I have to
talking
tell
in
you,
ways where I couldn't understand
there,
at all what you're talking
there
about.
is no clarity, okay? Because it's like a diamond, it's multifaceted.
Yeah,
There are things that reflect things back. And when you just think that you've got a hold on something and you think you understand something, there's another facet attached to it. The only thing that is continuous in your life and my life is that we create things. So that's been a continuous thing in my life and in your life for a long time. That's what I think about. I see images, I can paint those images. That's the only continuity that has been in my life. Everything else is sort of from outside influences, from things I can't control, from things that happen to me, from the people that I'm with. There are all kinds of inputs being fed in constantly that may get when you get up in the morning, you may think to yourself, well, I'm going to do this today and I'm going to get this done today, which is moving into the future. And suddenly you're bombarded by a phone call that comes in or somebody that wants to do something and your path is changed. And that's life. That's the way life works. But the only thing that you have that's continuous in your life is the concept of creating. And
yeah,
that to me is the one thing that makes us survive. Under under the worst moods that you're in, under the most depression you're in, under the most joy that you're in, the process of creating is always there.
yeah.
And that's your lifeline.
And thank God for that. That it's.
I can't
Listen,
imagine.
um, I, I, I remember the early days of our friendship. where I was still, kind of afraid of my shadow, and every time I moved, and my shadow was moving accordingly, it scared me. Like, and also, the natural environment of great artists surrounding me. You have the heritage of 60, 70 years. I started when I was almost 40, so it was scary. It was scary. I I I think that I was smart enough or lucky enough to think early on how I'm going to survive being, forget about art. Who talks about art? Just being able to earn a spot. Even if it's number 250, it doesn't matter. Just a spot in this equation. This is all I strive for. I strove for that because I said I want to be able to, first of all, keep myself in one piece. Yeah, well, obviously, we need all our marbles in order to, because we also want to
We
also
have a lot
paint.
less marbles today than
I
we had
I
20
know,
years
but
ago.
but we're capable of making more beautiful paintings,
Right.
more potentially appreciated and respected and whatnot, and why not? But we want to do better and we want to do well. And so, but I didn't think about art. I didn't think like, oh, this is going to improve. This is going to make me an artist. No, this is going to make me a person that doesn't torture himself unnecessarily day in and day out, and on the account of it, missing and losing all this time, and therefore, you know, a year goes by and I painted 5 paintings. That was just out of the question in my calendar. So I was actually going through that process, and still, because I acquired these habits from my engagement with other creative artistic mediums, that no matter what, even if I contemplate and think, even if I'm down or up, whatever, in the meanwhile, I always, in some shape or form, create in the meanwhile, in the meantime, while things major and the opposite take place, I still create. So I think it took me a while until I got the grip of the situation. I realized that I did the right thing to establish my presence and to feel comfortable with suddenly seeing myself in certain scenarios without freaking out and thinking that I don't deserve it and it's not my place and I didn't earn it and so much and so forth. So that helped me. And once I got to this point, then I said, now I'm going to start experimenting with vengeance, with intent, with sense of purpose. You know what I mean? So having you in my life, for example, early on was like, I think they immediately, instinctively, I don't know if I was lucky that I caught you in a good mood in those first weeks and all that, and when we had the artist dinner and whatnot, you were really accommodating me with just straightforward um, declarations, suggestions,
It,
pointing out.
it's because of two things. One, you were acceptable to hear things. You were in agreement to hear things. A lot of people who are quote artists don't want to hear anything. They don't want to they don't want any outside influence. They want to do what they're doing, and they don't want anybody telling them what they could do to improve or change. Or I taught for a long time. I taught both elementary school, junior high, and college, and on a personal basis also, so that the concept of helping somebody change or grow is natural for me. But you have to have somebody who's willing to be open to that. A lot of people aren't. They do what they want to do and they don't want to hear anything. They consider it criticism. It's not criticism. Your work has changed. My work has changed. I think it's essential that people who call themselves artists don't keep doing the same thing for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and doing it over and over and over again. At a certain point, redundancy is not productive. And your work has changed drastically over the years, as has mine. Last night, um, I thought about the drawing that I had in your show. And I
Yeah,
thought, you know what? I have not drawn since 1961, except occasionally. And I still have the same ability to draw. So I'm getting drawing paper, I'm getting my drawing board, my clips, and I'm going back to drawing. And I'm
yeah.
really looking forward to it. because it's, I think the drawing that I had at your show was really strong. I know people didn't like it because it wasn't pretty, but so what?
I don't know.
Structure.
How did you get to the conclusion that people didn't like it? It was awesome.
Um, I think people had a difficult time with it because it just didn't have a level of beauty to it, but the strength of the drawing itself was what I think people liked. And it was the only one of its kind in the show,
Yeah.
which was my intention. So, um, for me to go back and do drawings now that are not necessarily in that same genre, but will have the same sense of distortion and that kind of thing. That's just the way I draw. So I'm looking forward to doing something, not going back into the studio and painting, but going and doing drawings for a while. And it's
Okay.
it's kind of challenging.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to mention because we got 4 minutes left today, believe it or not. We're sitting here on Thursday afternoon, December 7th, year 2023, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access, and of course, especially with the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. And my guest, Steve Romm. Still, we managed actually to ignore completely our plan,
It's fine.
completely.
We've got more time.
But I think a lot of prose was
Contrary
finding
to
its way to fill between the cracks. So I
yeah,
think that when everything is said and done between us, the surface is smoother and more even.
we did a good job of spackling.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here, as I said, this afternoon of Thursday, December 7th, year 2023, with the Hello Hello Show. Thank you to my guest, Steve Ram. Steve, thank you.
Always a
And
pleasure.
of course, we'll see you more often than not. And so we know you're out there. We appreciate what you're doing, and we know your contribution more than you think we do, and we also appreciate it on top of everything. We'll see you soon, sooner than you think.